So our next video is a white bean stew, and it's part of the final exam along with the dishes that we've done already, and I'm going to talk you through the ingredients to start off with. So really simply, I've got half an onion that I've diced roughly. I've got half a carrot which I've cut into a small dice, almost like a massive one. I've got some leek which I've diced again, obviously washed it first because leek's quite dirty. I've got a couple of cloves of garlic which I've roughly chopped. In there we've got some chopped parsley. I've got 2 mushrooms which I've sliced thinly. I've got some thyme buds. I've got 3 different types of bean. So I've got some butter beans, some borlotti beans, and some cannellini beans. And then moving round this side, I've got some grated Lancashire cheese, some grated parmesan. In this bowl I've got some pancreatata, which you may have seen knocking around the kitchen. And pancreatata basically is breadcrumbs which have been dried, oil and lemon juice and garlic added to them with some herbs, and left just to dry on underneath the lights and in the hot cupboard for a number of days, and then blitzed down. So we've got this really nice tasty, it's going to be sort of a topping for the stew. And then in this jug here I've got some vegetable stock. So your job will be to prep all these ingredients, okay, all the ones on the tray, with a piece of butter as well, and then the other ones, these 2, the stock and the pancreatata, they'll be already made for you. So next to the cooking of the white bean stew, in a pan, just heat it up gently. I'm going to put a touch of oil. We don't want lots and lots, otherwise we'll end up with a really greasy finish on our stew. And in there small amount of butter as well, just for flavour more than anything. I want this to start to fizz really gently. And in there I'm going to put the onions, the carrots and the garlic to start off with. And the leeks as well. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sweat down those ingredients. So sweat obviously meaning to cook without colour until they're all softened, which will probably take in between about 3 and 5 minutes. So after a couple of minutes sweating off, I'm then going to put the mushrooms in there. They don't take much cooking at all, and I'm just going to sweat them for a further 2 to 3 minutes, so that we've had about 7 or 8 minutes of sweating time for the vegetables in total. So sweating time has finished now. The vegetables are softened up pretty much. So next thing that can go in there are our beans. So as I said, we've got some butter beans and some borlotti beans and some cannellini beans. Also got some thyme, which I'm going to pop in there. I'm not putting the parsley in yet though. The parsley's going to go in pretty much last thing. So being really careful, I'm just going to give those white beans a stir so that it's all mixed together really nicely. And then in there I'm going to put vegetable stock, just enough to cover the beans. Okay, now keeping a really close eye on this. I'm not going to walk away and leave it while I chat to a friend about what happened last night. I'm going to just let that come to the boil, and then I'm going to let it come to the side of the stove. I'm going to bring it to the side of the stove and let it simmer probably for about 30 minutes, something like that, just to let those beans cook down and release some juices to give this stew a little bit more flavour. So our bean stew has been on the stove now for about 30 minutes, something like that. You might be able to see, you might not, but it's thickened up quite a bit. Quite a lot of the starch out of the beans has come out, and it's made it really quite nice and thick, that. But I'm going to put in there some Parmesan cheese, just to give it a little bit of extra flavour. I'm just going to stir that in. I'm also going to put a little bit of Lancashire cheese in there as well, because I love Lancashire cheese. And also in there as well, we're going to put some salt and some pepper. Okay, so just give the cheese a little stir in, make sure it's all melted, and then as usual with everything that we cook, I need you to taste to make sure we've got the flavour. Okay, so in with a spoon, and I just want some of the sauce, a little bit of bean. Tastes wonderful. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of seasoning now, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then I've got, last of all, some chopped parsley, which I'm just going to pop through there, stir that in, and then that is ready to serve. So to serve this, I'm just going to take a ladle and just into a soup bowl. I'm not putting lots and lots because this is going to be a really, really filling dish. Those beans full of protein, just a nice bowl full. And then just at the end, just for a little bit of texture, I'm going to put some of our Pengria tartar just across the top, and then a little bit of extra flavour just in the top of there. I've got some tarragon oil, and I'm just going to put a few drops of that on there as well, just for a little bit of extra colour right at the end. And that's our white bean stew for our final exam dish.